Recording in process. Hello, Sam, and what up, guys? Today we are doing something new, and I am doing a trade write-up review with Sam. Many might know him as Trades Turbo. And what I would also say is I know people will be like, but Lance, why are you reviewing Sam's trades and his write-ups and not mine? And my answer to that is quite simple. There's really two reasons. One is because he can snap me like a twig, and he is both twice my strength and my weight. So I think generally that's always a good thing. And I would say if anyone has an issue, you can take it up with my bodyguard, who is also Sam. So Sam is someone that I met last year at Traders for a Cause Vegas, and really the most friendly, just stud of a guy. We got together again when I was in the UK, and he just does awesome work and is just a good guy, always helping others. And so this is my chance to help him amid our friendship. And I look forward to seeing you in Vegas next week or a couple weeks, Sam.
Couple weeks, yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, nice hop across the pond. So Sam, can you tell everyone about like your experience level and kind of your pursuit? Like, is this full time for you? How much time do you put into trading and review and everything per week?
So yeah, it's full time for me, but I also have like some side gigs as well, which I think just takes like a little bit of pressure off needing an income from trading. So I also work for Trading Sim, and then I also work for Nate at Investors Underground. But those are sort of mainly roles outside of the trading hours. So I'm full time, and then I'm reviewing it. I'm reviewing every day, and then even I was inspired by when you were talking. I think it was your original interview when you were talking about how you go in on a Sunday, and that's what I do now. I go into my office on a Sunday, and I think, what did I miss this week? And then this is an example. Then I was writing it up on Sunday.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So you sent that to me. And so now I'm going to share this with everyone. And so I took some notes on it. And so overall, it was pretty good. Like, I think one of the major issues I see on FinTwit world is like most people, their reviews are just so vague, and there's just so many nuances you need to factor. In fact, if anyone wants a preview of what my Traders for a Cause talk is going to be, it really is going to focus on finding edge through those nuances and all the filters of criteria you need to be applying to even just stand a chance at edge. So this was Sam's write-up. He uses Evernote, much like I use. Super kind of easy, good program. Don't mind his kooky little date format. We'll just chalk that up to be an
Is
old
that wrong?
English.
I thought that was. Oh yeah, that's the Sorry.
And at least for both of us, it's still the year 2023, so that we can agree on.
Yeah, we can agree on
And
that.
so where did you pull this data from up top? This I assume this is like a copy and paste, right? Is that true?
Yeah, that's just a screenshot from Dilution Tracker.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, no, I think that's super cool because obviously that makes it easy to recognize the floats as well as the market cap. So then we do know we're kind of dealing with kind of a smaller float. Sorry, not smaller float, but smaller micro cap, small cap type stock, as well as what they do. Okay, we're a biotech, wonderful. So one thing that I thought right off the bat would be useful to you and everyone else is with these write-ups, I really think it's great to have a template. And the beauty of having a template is it allows you to be more diligent and thorough to make sure you're not missing any category. So it could just be some simple template where it has, for example, this could be like an overview section. It then could be, okay, is there, like you say, no PR? So it could say, is there news or no news? You could have a section where you then talk about the daily chart, talk about the intraday, talk about the level 2 box, talk about how you did or did not trade it, as well as like how it should have been traded. And I think once you start to have a template, it kind of makes it faster and less thinking involved to go through this. But then it also helps you make sure you're not forgetting anything, because there are a couple things that I would have added from here. So you say first, the big one, no PR, just something that's really, it was down a lot, and now it's kind of breaking out of from those 20 cents, 25 cents, 30 cents. So I love that we have the daily chart because again, for almost every trade, you really do want to know that big picture context. And, we can just see that this stock made a hell of a move over 1 week on 20 towards 80 cents. And we do have kind of that blow off top that I really like. So, and you touch on that, right? So that's beautiful. You even classify that Thursday as the blow off. And so in classifying that on the daily chart, there's one thing I would have really liked to touch on. And so is there any guesses about this daily chart that really stands out to me that you might be missing?
Yeah, and I reflected on that today. I think I would like to, and I still don't know actually, why did it gap down so much in September? I thought that might be pertinent to a potential setup.
Cool. I mean, I like that. I think that's super easy, right? And whether you have news sources or not, for a big gap like that, you can pretty much just find out what date that is and Google that. So I think that's great information to have. Why were we down? Has there been potentially any reversal of that news? Just knowing that this is a small cap biotech, while I'm not familiar with that gap, I'd pretty much just guess it's got to be, their biotech drug failed. No PRs. In that time, what else kind of stands out to you just from a technical lens?
I'm not sure actually.
Cool. So one thing that I think is notable is, yes, on that day that we really died on whatever, we guess that news was insane volume. Like that volume, 150 million-ish shares, that pretty much dwarfs everything else. Like everything else is a rounding error. But then the other thing is, so you categorize that previous day as a blow off top.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to be even more nuanced in why. Like, what are the signs of that being a blow off top? So one, you did talk about how much price it covered so quick. We can also talk about, right, not only did it cover a lot of price, but it accelerated, right? Like the first bar maybe moves 5 cents, then 5 cents, then maybe 10 cents, then maybe 12 cents, and then boom, a whopping 40 cents. So we accelerated. We did almost 4x the prior day. But then it's not just price that capitulated. I think one of the most important and overlooked things by many people is volume. So what I really, really look for in a capitulation is price to be capitulating as well as volume. And when we look at this bar, so again, the original gap down was, we presume, on some crazy bad news that I probably should have looked up beforehand, but we'll just assume. Then this day, when there's theoretically really nothing, we almost do that same amount of volume. And so what I like to say to try to systemize and start to really quantify some of this capitulation is, I like to really see the price go 2x kind of the prior day's move on that blow off. And the other thing is, I like to see like 2x or more, right? If it goes 3x, 4x, 5x, that's even better, the size of the prior day's move. The other thing is, I love, as a general rule of thumb, to see 2x the volume capitulation as the prior days, right? So volume was already increasing, but then that day, right, we didn't just go 2x the size of the move, right? We didn't just go 20 cents if the prior day we went 10, we went 40 cents, which is 4x. And this volume, it's not just 2x, the volume is also probably even like 5x the prior days. So that, I think, is maybe the biggest detail of what you left out that I would have liked to see as far as that daily chart, but otherwise very, very good. Then you kind of take a more micro lens. These are intradays, and this was kind of that blow off top. I love you highlighting the chart. I find that there's something very tactile about just actually working with a chart and marking it up. I think it's a really good learning method. So this I love. Then you talk about the rejects where we can't really bounce at all. We're just immediately retracing. Very, very good. So cash position. Okay, companies burning a lot of cash. They've got an ATM out there, unlike the good ATMs where we just take cash out. The ATM is really just essentially kind of just offering shelf capacity, and they've got a lot of capacity out there. So what I like is you're essentially using a little bit of fundamental information to kind of build a view. You're not trading the fundamentals, but it's just being complementary to that view. So I like that. And this, what you do next is you include Nate from Investor Underground as as his execs. And this is, I would say, one of the best things you do, because essentially what you're doing here is you're seeking out a more experienced mentor and studying how they traded it and getting their thoughts and everything else. And like that is so crucial and probably not done enough, but immensely valuable. So you can see what were they thinking, how were they executing, and ideally you even pick their brain and you ask them why. You know, Nate, what made you think that? One other thing too that I think would have been good to point out, and this is back up on this daily chart. I always look for a break of prior bar lows as far as the true break of trend. But the difference is this one's so parabolic that break of trend is pretty far back for that at that 50-cent mark. But nevertheless, given that blow off, you know, that really does probably increase the odds that we are now backside and that this is going to pull in. So this chart was beautiful. So essentially you start to combine the technicals now with the fundamentals. They've got a huge ATM outstanding, you know, a bunch about the shelf. They can raise a lot of their money. They need that cash according to dilution tracker, DT. So you say from a technical point of view, this was a huge gain on no news within a couple days. Strong likelihood of a pullback. And this is what I really like. So what's D1 and D2?
Oh, just day one, day two.
Okay, cool. That's what I thought. Then EOD is just end of day.
End of day,
cover.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so future executions, and this is more about the warrants. Very cool. So conclusion, daily parabolic for people. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to just be guessing.
No, this one up.
Intraday parabolic is always likely to lead to good opportunity to fade a pullback when coupled with the dilution. So good. So now here's where I'd really add from here. What I think is super interesting is if we dissect just this daily chart was a blow off top capitulation. I love seeing that the daily did that. So on the daily, I technically want to be short after that blow off. But then you use the intraday. And when we look at this intraday also capitulated as well. Like, look how sharp that price move was and look how huge that volume spike is. So I think on both the daily and the intraday, you kind of underestimated volume. Or not necessarily underestimated, but you underemphasized it in the write-up, because I think both of those are super critical. And now the beauty of it is this intraday was super exhaustive and the daily. So now you have both timeframes aligning, right? If I'm a swing trader, I want to be shorting that daily chart after that capitulation. And if I'm an intraday trader, I want to be shorting this reversal as well, and then kind of potentially just shorting pops against those highs, thinking it's backside. So we have the time frames aligning, which I think is super powerful. I think the other important part is, of course, you know, no apparent news, right? Because if there is a reversal of whatever news sent that down, I might not want to fade that at all, right? If something goes from $1.50 to 20 cents on news, then that news is reversed, where maybe this drug is efficacious. I don't want to be fighting that. So that was a super important thing. So one other thing that I love is, if I'm not wrong on this, I believe you totally missed this trade. Am I correct on that? Like it just slipped under your radar?
Yeah, just completely. And just, I think I was left frustrated because I did see a lot of people talk. I saw obviously a lot of chatter about it, but I just didn't piece it together like you just did then. And I think that was like the frustration. And I think like the whole like purpose of the write-up for me was to actually start just reminding myself those cues of look at the daily, look at the speed up on the daily, look at the speed up on the intraday, etc., and just start aligning it, and then align it with potential fundamentals as well. And I think, yeah, so it was born out of like disgust and frustration. And
and I think that's important, right? So I think most competitive people, and you know, so Sam had a competitive rugby career, right? Sam is a competitor. Sam's an athlete. Sam is somebody that wants to be the best. Sam wants to win. And Sam will break you in two if you stand in his way. And I think what's important is emotions aren't bad, right? Like there's nothing wrong with emotions. The most important part is, are you using them adaptively and productively or maladaptively, right? So a good use of emotions is what Sam did. Sam missed the trade, right? This isn't Sam's write-up just bragging about how he crushed it and posting it on Twitter. No, Sam missed it. Sam was frustrated. Sam was upset. So what Sam did is he wrote it up in very high detail. What he didn't do was just spend the whole day moping around. Sam didn't just tweet up, this market is tough, no opportunities, everything sucks. Sam didn't tweet, oh, I missed this trade, everything sucks, I'm going to go drink the 50 beers it probably takes me to get drunk. And so, I want to commend you for that emotional response is important, right? It's totally fine to be frustrated. It's fine to be upset. That's part of what fuels us to be better. And I think it's necessary, right? I would definitely, maybe it's not the healthiest. I would definitely beat the crap out of myself mentally and be super upset, but it pushed me to do the work when others wouldn't. It pushed me to have the difficult, uncomfortable conversation of, Lance, why did you miss this trade again? Why did you not connect this in real time? But most importantly, that was fuel to do the work that actually helps me capture it the next time, right? The most important thing is Sam is doing this to catch the next one. And he didn't do this write-up 2 weeks later. He did it very quickly thereafter. So I think that's super, super important to just highlight what a good habit this is. The final way I would recommend making this better is being even more specific with how you would have wanted to trade this. And also potentially what the box looked like. What was the tape? Were there any real sellers, or did any buyers get exhausted? Were we seeing huge offers come in? But then, right, what size would you have liked to do? So day one into day two scale for end of day cover. How much size? How much do you want to get into on day one? How much do you want to get into on day two? Is there anywhere you would cover otherwise, right? What if this dumped super hard down to 40 cents intraday? Are you really not going to cover that? Are you really just going to potentially wait for the end of the day? What if it dumps to 40 cents and goes right back to 60 cents, right? So I would really love to see very specific details of how we want to trade this in the future. How much size? How much do we want to risk? What is our stop when we do that? Are we risking it to the highs of the moves? In what different ways can this set up? Do we have I think another great section to add on any template is analogous, like similar moves, like any other comparable tickers that have done a move like this. What analogies can you make between this and other tickers? So then you start to build this database. So maybe we can call this a blow off daily, intraday, low, small cap, micro cap type move. And that becomes a playbook in our Evernote. Those are the type of things I think will really help accelerate the learning even more. And I think those would help turn this into a super A+ kind of trade write-up practice. And that's something, look, if it's a slow day, I don't think you need to squeeze blood out of a stone and write up Siri on a slow day. But if there's a really good trade that you're kicking yourself over and it was a good kind of easy money trade or anything that you want to write, I think this level of write up is a base expectation. I don't think this is too much to ask for people serious with their trading game. And it's far different than maybe the 2-3 variables that kind of, I think most of FinTwit and retail side kind of include. So yeah, what are your thoughts on all that, Sam?
No, I think you're right. I should have, and it's not very difficult for me just to annotate. And actually, with all of my intraday trades, I will just go into Paint Pro and usually I'll add a red X where I should have scaled, for exple, and I'll just
that's great. I love that.
And a blue line just where my stop is basically. And for this, it would have been high of day. And I think you're right that I should be marking cover spot, which I would do with a green X. Obviously, it's easy to say in hindsight, I just cover the lows, but I don't mean it like that. I just mean actually
one thing I would add too, though, is it's also important to make these write-ups your own. Nobody else needs to write these, nobody else needs to read these. Whatever shorthand stuff will make this as pain-free and fast and effective as possible. So maybe in all your things, a short can be a blue circle, and maybe a cover can be a yellow circle, whatever is going to make it as quick, easy as possible. Now, the other thing, if we want to go super epic beast mode, and you're a man of super epic beast mode character and stature, then I would say what's an amazing best practice is to do this type of write-up and find a partner or a pod member and make it a routine to share these and seek and solicit feedback, right? And do your write-up of how you should have done and send it to a Nate or a friend or a whoever, much like you did where you sent this to me. And ideally, especially if someone's more like a peer, ask for them to kind of reciprocate. Hey, like I want to see your awesome write-ups. And I think that is like just such an amazing practice. You can learn just so much from each other and just accelerate that learning when you have other people feeding you these write-ups and you have a network of people kind of feeding you this stuff.
Mm-hmm. And like one of the main reasons why I sent it to you was because I know with like your history, I just consider you to be like the gold standard when it comes to reviews. And I'm just like, what level is Lance saying is, you know, a good level? And that's where I want to aspire.
This is a FinTwit A. You get a FinTwit A and you get a Prop World B minus, which, you know, that's pretty good though.
That's okay. But like that's the thing. Like I think it's probably quite easy to get getting a FinTwit A is, you know, you probably get a C just for doing it in the first place. But it's like, you know, like that Prop World, how to close the gap. And that's just something that I've been, you know, in some of our conversations, I've just been pretty fascinated with, because that just seems to be such a good environment. You know, and I live in southwest of England. So even though I've got an office, but it's just me in it, it's not quite the same, right? So
yeah, and
I'm just trying to do my best.
That isn't going to cool nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
That picture cracks me up.
But it's just like how to close the gap between, you know, us and them, because obviously like and it's the same like for me, like rugby, like when you're in a team environment, you are all on the same side, and obviously like that doesn't exist when you're, you know, you need that pod, otherwise you just don't have people on the same side as you.
Totally. And I think so many people view this as a kind of winner take all, me versus the world type of game when it doesn't need to be, and it's actually suboptimal to do so. And so no, you're taking all the right steps, and I mean this was good stuff, man. And I think between writing it up, asking Nate for feedback, asking me for feedback, like, you know, that takes, you know, real effort, and that's the stuff that really matters. So you've got my commendation for good work. And you know, I think I might owe you you know, a beer or dinner, another beast dinner in Vegas.
Well, it's convenient that I'm in Vegas next month then. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So awesome. Appreciate you letting me share this with everyone. I think a lot of people will learn from it, and keep on rocking on. And it's always a total pleasure.
No, thank you.
Thanks, Sam.